One of the best ways that you can increase your value as a online consultant, digital marketer, web developer is to show your clients how you make more money for them. And of course, one of the best ways to do that is introduce them to new revenue streams. Like, what can you do that not only increases their ability to do what they're currently doing, but what can you do to introduce new ways that your clients would be able to make revenue, especially if they're in the business of selling kind of like a one-off type of service, but they'd like to kind of even out their cash flow a little bit. So I've got my gunner glasses on today, so I'm trying these out. So it's kind of got the blue light filter on there and everything. So, just thought I'd mention that. Anyway, so here's what we're going to do today. So this is going to be a quick session, and I'm going to show you exactly how to set up a way for anyone who offers like one-off type services to start creating recurring revenue by selling subscriptions or by selling their services in bulk. And what we'll do is we'll put this in the context of like a barbershop. Like, say you have a client that runs a salon or a barbershop or something like that. And so, for example, when you go to get your haircut, like if you're a guy and you get your haircut, you tend to do it about once a month, and it's usually about $25 a pop. Like if you go to Sports Clips or something like that, then you tend to go about once a month, every 4 weeks or so for a haircut. You generally pay about $25. And wouldn't it be nice if, rather than just having people kind of cram into the barbershop and sit there and wait and all that stuff and just kind of, you never know who's going to show up whenever, wouldn't it be great if you could help that barber actually get their clients on more of a subscription? And so what you do instead is, allow your barbershop to sell haircuts in like an annual package, for example, and like give a discount when it's an annual deal. So rather than charging like $25 for every haircut, why don't you say something like, hey, here you go. Here's like a package of like 15 haircuts that you can do. So even more than once a month. So like, you don't want to have to quibble over whether it's a once a month thing. Just, give a couple of extra haircuts into the mix, charge $20 a pop instead of 25, and sell it as a package. And so what you could do is you could say, okay, well, it's going to be a year's worth of haircuts. Normally it's $25 per month. So, whatever that is over the course of a year, let's discount it to 20 and say maybe sell it for $240 for 12 months of haircuts. And there you have it. Or instead of selling so somebody might not want to come out of pocket like $240, $250 or whatever, especially if you add tip. We're going to talk about adding tip in a second. But maybe instead of charging like all of that at a discount, even though it's a bulk rate, why not charge monthly? Like, why don't you say, hey, $20 a month, just pay it monthly, come in for a haircut whenever you want. Don't worry about paying because you're already on like a monthly payment schedule. How do we set that up? And not only how do we set it up, but how do we allow clients to tip the hair cutter person? And how do you keep track of how many visits and sessions people have actually had so that people aren't just coming in for haircuts every single day? And does it scale? And to what degree does it scale? We're going to talk about all of that and go through it really quickly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple things. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to set all of this stuff up as a product that you can put on your site or your client site, the hairdresser site. What that looks like once it's on the site, how to allow them to do monthly or even quarterly or pay whatever kind of increments you want. We're going to use monthly as an example, and how you can allow tip to be part of the equation as well. And then we're going to look at different ways to fulfill it. Like, how do you keep track of how many haircuts people have gotten? And again, I don't want you to be thinking about this in the context exclusively of haircuts. Like, what if it's mowing the lawn, or what if it's getting a massage? It could be any number of things. But the idea is, if you have a client and they're in the business of doing something kind of one-off, like somebody comes and gets a massage every once in a while, or somebody gets a haircut every once in a while. But I thought haircuts were really good because, your hair keeps growing. You got to keep going back for haircuts, on a fairly regular basis. So it's not that out of the ordinary to say, hey, since you got a haircut here today, don't you think you'll probably come back here, next month for your haircut too? Most people will say yes. And wouldn't it be great if you can kind of make everything easier for everybody, so that rather than having to fumble through payments and all that other stuff right there, you just come in, get a haircut, and move on, and everybody's for the better. So that's the example we're going to go with, but it's not just tied down to that. So I didn't want you to just think that it's only for barbershops. This is for anybody, but the example is in the context of working with a barber. So let's jump into it. I'm going to share my screen with you and show you how to set up a product like this, how to set up the subscription, how to set up the, how you can get tip that changes the price of the subscription, all that kind of stuff. And here we go. So we're looking now in the Cart66 dashboard, and I've already set up the product, so you don't have to see me do every single step of the process. But here it is, annual haircuts. I'm going to click on that. If I hadn't clicked on that, I could have clicked on that button up at the top right, add a new product. And here's what I did. So basically all I did was I set up the product with the name of annual haircuts. You could call it anything else you want. I gave it a SKU of hair. Of course, you can give that anything you want. And if I normally would charge $25 for the product, or for an individual haircut, maybe for the sake of this discount to kind of have an incentive to kind of go this route, let's knock 20% off. So instead of $25, it's $20. And not only do you get a discount there, but you can get as many as 15 haircuts if you want them. So even a little, like say somebody comes in at the beginning of the month, it's like October 1st or whatever, and they get a haircut, and then they come in and it's like October 29th or something like that. You wouldn't want to have to say, oh, well, that you've already had your haircut for October, you have to come back in 2 days or anything like that. So to alleviate that problem, just have the person say, hey, you get up to 15 haircuts or something like that, so that you don't have to fiddle with, it's exactly 12 or whatever. And so there you go. So we just put this price in here, and so that's just the basic setup. The next thing that we're going to put into the mix are the fields. So this is how you deal with tip. So go ahead and click on like add drop down list, or you could even do a radio button list. Either of the two would be fine. And what you'll get is a screen that looks like this. And you can just give it a label. This is the tip that you want to leave for the haircut. You can have an option of none. Then I put in a couple others. So I have 10% tip, 15% tip, and you can choose that these options to this product will change the price of the subscription by a percentage amount. You could do a dollar amount, like a fixed amount, or none. So none, this option none is a no change option, but we have these two be percentage based, because you normally think about tipping in a percentage base. So like if you wanted to add another choice, say you wanted to allow somebody to tip 20%. So just type 20% there, make this a percentage change, type 20 there, and now you've got it. And you could say that you have to, this is a required field, you have to pick something. I'm just going to leave it as not required because, whatever, what if somebody picks none? And then you put an instruction like, would you like to leave a tip? And this is what's going to show up in the drop down field, like by default. So that kind of helps kind of guide people through how to fill out the form. And if you wanted to, you could even have, like, if this wasn't a, if we were doing something else, like we were selling a product or whatever, you could link these individual options to images. So like if you click that checkbox right there, like every time you change to a different, an option for this particular, you change from 10% to 15% or whatever, you could then change a picture on the website. But we're not fiddling with that right now. So let's go ahead and save the change. So now we have 10, 15, and 20%. This is roughly what it's going to look like. You can then see how the drop down kind of shows you a preview of the different options. Then you have this whole add to cart thing. But then we go over to subscriptions. And so I've already got the subscription enabled. If I didn't, like, here's what it would look like if you were just setting this product up by default. And you can literally get this thing going in like 1 second. So if you want to do a monthly subscription, boom, hit monthly subscription. There you go. Now you've got this product. It's charging people every month, and it tells you exactly what the recipe is. Bill for every month. How many billing cycles do you want? You could set it to continuous, like month after month after month. You could stop it after a year if you wanted to, whatever. You can even set up free trials and all that stuff depending on what you're selling. But that's all you have to do to make a subscription happen. And then there you go. So now let's take a look at what it actually looks like on your site. So if you're working with the barber and you're setting up their site, so this is the site that I've been using before where we talked about the photography and everything. I just put a quick page on here to show you just a very quick example of what it would look like on your client's site. So you could just set up a page that says, hey, save 20% on your haircuts, get up to 15 haircuts per year for just $20 a month, but you also have the ability to leave a tip. And so let me go refresh this page to get the different options that we've got in there. And so now when you pick this drop down, you can say, I want to tip my person, 20% for every haircut. So now you're paying $24 per month. That includes the tip as well as the $20 haircut. So that means the barber's not losing out on the tip just because they're doing a month to month, payment cycle. And again, you could do anything you want. Like you could have people, type in a price or whatever. But I tend to think that, hey, 10, 15, 20%, whatever, that's a good amount of tip. If instead of having the actual percentages, you could again have a fixed dollar amount. Hey, I want to tip everybody $5 every time or whatever. You could do that. But then there you go. So that's the whole thing. Somebody would then click add to cart, check out, buy that product. And now they're on a subscription plan for $24 per month. And they got up to 15 haircuts over the course of a year. So now the barbershop is all happy about that because they're making $24 a month that they weren't making before. So it's consistent recurring revenue that's coming in. And, the person who's getting the haircut is happy because they don't even have to bring any payment information or anything like that when they show up. They can just show up and get the haircuts. And then you begin to think, well, all right, all of that is great and set up, but how do we keep track of how many haircuts people have gotten? Like, what if somebody comes in and, gets haircuts every day or something like that? Like, how do we keep track of all of that? So there's a couple of different ways that I would recommend doing it. So the first way is go back into the product and click over here on files and then attach like a PDF of vouchers. So like, say you've got one like your schedule, like maybe that's the PDF of vouchers, attach that to the product. And then now when somebody buys the annual haircuts, they'll also have a link to download the schedule PDF, which is like or vouchers or whatever you want to call it. And, they can bring in a voucher every time they get a haircut. It'll be a PDF that has like 15 of them in there. And they just bring one in every time they want to get a haircut. And so then you can kind of keep track like that. So that is the easiest way to go about it. You can just attach this digital file, they download it, print it out, and Shazam, they have it. Another way, like if you feel like maybe you want to scale a little bit further than that, like, something a little bit more formal, what you can do is you can attach like a receipt or some kind of a PDF or some kind of a, just something to print out, like bring in your receipt or whatever. And then when the client comes in for their first haircut after purchasing this thing, then what you can do is say, why don't you trade in your receipt for this product? And then I'll give you like a punch card. Like, have you ever been to like Subway or something? And basically they print up a bunch of basically business cards. So like, design something, send it off to like, whatever, Vistaprint or whatever, and just get a bunch of cheap, quote unquote, business cards, but they're designed to look like punch cards for this. And then every time somebody comes in for a haircut, have them present the punch card, snap a punch out of it, and, make sure you have slots for up to 15 punch holes. And then you can kind of keep track of everything like that. So the punch card basically works as a way to kind of keep track of everything. And then another way that you can do it, in addition to those two, or maybe even instead of those two, you can have like a sign-in sheet. Like a lot of times, like I've been going to this hairdresser or a barber shop. It's called Fades and Blades. It's just down the street from me. And every time you show up, you just write your name on a waiting list. And if that was the kind of thing that you were going to do, then you can set up this really simple spreadsheet for your client. I'll give you a link to be able to download this spreadsheet if you want to. So you can use it for your client so you don't have to create it. But it's super simple. Here's how it works. You basically have two sheets. You probably can't see the bottom here. Let me see if I can do something about that. So there we go. So there's two sheets in it. One is called members. The other is called visits. In the members section, you just write down the name of the person. So, you sold like a subscription to this guy named Tim Clark. Another guy named John Lewis bought it. They bought up to 15 sessions. And then these two other fields, visits and sessions remaining, that gets calculated based off the visits page. And then in the visits page, just what you do is like at the end of the day, after when you're closing down, you just take that sign-in sheet, or even right on the spot if you want, whatever. But usually at the end of the day, it's better because you're usually in a rush during the actual day. At the end of the day, look at the sign-in sheet, see who came to visit, and like over here, here's John Lewis. Like we just set up, 15 visits. He hasn't been there at all yet. Then he comes in for his first visit. Go over to the visits page and just type in John Lewis and the date of the day he visited. Let's say October 10th. And that's all you do. And then you go back over here to the members page and you can say, oh, well, he had 15 visits. Now he's been here once and there's 14 remaining. And you can just totally keep track of that. And it scales pretty well. Like even if you had like 100 people, like 100 members, it would still scale pretty well. And even if you had that, now your barber shop is making like, if you were charging $24 a month for it, and they had 100 people doing it, then first of all, that's like 2 or 3 people a day, every day of the week are now on subscription. They're making like $2,400 a month on top of what they otherwise would be making. So, I mean, that's a huge win. And so the point of showing all of this is that it doesn't take a lot. Like, you don't have to have a huge, complicated system to make all of this work, like a simple spreadsheet, a punch card, emailing vouchers, all of that kind of stuff is in the mix. And you can, again, like, even though we're not selling a digital product, you just attach the product to, attach a digital file, like the vouchers or whatever, to the product, so that when they make the purchase, they have the ability to have a link to download that. And then that keeps track of everything. And it's super slick. And then the last thing that you can do, if you wanted to, is you can connect all of this up into your email marketing system. So if you wanted to turn that on, you just click this button, and now all of the email lists that you have set up are here and available. So like, you could create a list for, haircuts, like as a particular product, or you could add them to your customers list or something like that. And now all of a sudden you've got all their contact information to send emails as well. So like, if you ever wanted to have them refer a friend and get a bonus or something like that for that, you could email about that. So all of that's all connected. And so the cool thing about this whole situation is that everything is all dialed in for you. You don't have to buy anything extra. You don't have to, mash up a bunch of stuff, and it's all really slick. So that's what I wanted to show, because it's a great way to really help your clients generate more revenue, get recurring income in the mix. You can provide all of the details of everything that we just talked about simply with your WordPress site and a Cart66 account. Everything's all included, all the way down to the payment gateway aspect of it. So, you could set it up with Stripe or with Braintree or whatever credit card processor that you want, including PayPal if you wanted to. PayPal processes credit cards. My recommendation would be to use Stripe, because I think they're the easiest to work with. And then there you go. You've got subscriptions right there baked into the mix. You get a customer portal. So like, for example, I don't have any customers set up in this test account, but like if their credit card is about to expire, they need to update that or something like that. They have a secure location where your customers can go do that. Oh, and the last thing that I wanted to mention about this is, how do you actually get customers to sign up in the first place? And a great way to go about that is, just go ahead and like put like an iPad or a laptop or something like right there on the checkout desk. And when somebody's checking out, say, hey, you want to save 20% on all your haircuts? Because now they've already gotten the haircut. They're about to pay more than they otherwise would. They're probably thinking that they enjoyed the experience. They're going to come back in the future. And then you can say, hey, do you want to go ahead and pay for this haircut with a discount? You can save yourself 20% today and for, every month to come until you feel like stopping. And here's the deal. And if they say yes, then just kind of hand them the iPad or whatever. And then have them kind of buy the product right there on the spot. So you don't even have to worry with anything. Or, fill it out for them. Say, okay, cool. And go to your own website, click the buy button, and then say, type in their name, type in their stuff, ask them for their credit card information right on the spot, and, get it going there. And then while they're there, like while they're literally face to face with you, hand them the vouchers or hand them the punch card or whatever it might be, however you want to keep track of all of this stuff. Or don't hand them anything and just do the spreadsheet thing and just kind of keep track of it that way. So or any combination of all of the above. So the cool thing about that is, not only are you making it easier in the future, but you're actually saving people money right now, which is going to be a great way to get people on the list. So all of those are really great tips for any business that is in the business of selling kind of one-off type services, but that the client's probably going to want to come back for more, especially in the context of a barbershop. So that's a great way to get more revenue coming in. You can charge for that. You can, that's a great thing. Like if somebody says, well, I can't afford it, you can say, well, how many people would you like to get on like a membership like that? What if you just had 10? That's an extra $240 a month that you can count on coming in every single month. And it shouldn't be that difficult to even get like 100 people on the mix, because most of the time, like when I go to get a haircut, I regularly see people that I've seen before. It's like most people keep going to the same place to get a haircut. And usually the only reason they would switch would be if they move or something like that. It's like they tend to keep coming back. So that's why I wanted to put this in the context of barbershops, because that's a great opportunity. And if you're going to get a haircut and you happen to know the guys that run the show, then that's going to make it even easier to kind of get into the mix. Hey, I had an idea. And like while you're getting the haircut, you can actually say, what would you think about the concept of maybe putting people on like a monthly subscription for haircuts here, and then kind of go through this whole idea while you're getting a haircut. It's a friendly, casual conversation. It's not a huge, crazy sales pitch. You don't really have to set up a meeting because you're already sitting there. They might as well have a conversation about it. If they don't want to do it, fine. Don't worry about it. If they do want to do it, then you've got this great, easy conversation where you don't even have to feel like you're selling anything. You're just telling somebody. You're not really selling anything. You're just telling somebody, here's a neat idea. What do you think? And if they like it, then boom, you can set them up. And it's a great way for you to make money, for them to make money, for their customers to be happier. It's a huge win right on down the line. And there you have it. So if you have any questions, you want to talk more about how to get it set up, you kind of want to go through, trying it out yourself, you can do it totally for free. You can head over to cart66.com. It's a totally free trial for the whole shebang for 14 days. And again, like if you need more time to fiddle with it, just let me know. I can extend the free trial for you. But yeah, just give it a shot, see what you think. And now you've got another tool to actually make a huge impact for your clients in terms of generating a whole new revenue stream that they otherwise wouldn't have had, stabilize their income, scale their business, puts you in this kind of leadership, authority, cool idea kind of position. I think it's going to be a great win for everybody. So there we go. And again, let me know if you want to try it out. Head over to cart66.com, sign up for the free trial, give it a shot, see what you think, and we'll just take it from there. Awesome, guys. Look forward to talking to you again in the near future. See you soon.